This is the Hagmann and Hagmann report for today. It is a Wednesday, June 11th, 2014. I'm Doug Hagmann, co-host along with my son Joe Hagmann. Together we are the Hagmann and Hagmann report. Folks are about to hear 3 hours of incredible programming, unbiased, uncensored news, in-depth information, in-depth analysis of what's really taking place in the world around you. This is tonight's program is going to be an extension of last night's program. An extension to the extent that we are going to be delving deeper into the various matters that we discussed yesterday, the overview that we provided, and we're also going to discuss some things that are historical in nature that will help you gain an understanding as to where we're at. And Joe's about ready to disclose research into some smart meter technology that you need to know. But for the new listeners, I want to thank everyone for checking in with us. We do broadcast live each and every weeknight from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern. I want to thank, by the way, speaking of new listeners or listeners, period, I want to thank the caller from Guatemala last night. And, of course, we have listeners all throughout the world, from Japan to Jamaica to to Jupiter, I suppose, or Jupiter Island, Florida, anyway. Folks, you can find us on the internet at HomelandSecurityUS.com. We're also simulcast by the Christians United Broadcasting Network there. You can tune us in, alternative to BTR, at the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.com. You have to spell everything out, including 2 N's on Hagmann, 1G. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for your belief and trust in us as we walk through this precipitous minefield together. Just want to say God bless each and every one of you. Today is the last day of the Million Man Fast. To those who have taken part in it, God bless you. Thank you so much. I believe fast and prayer, and I believe that through your sacrifices, we can move mountains. Through your dedication, we can move mountains. Joe.
Great to be here. We've got another a full day of news and analysis. As you said, we tried to do a show earlier with Vernon, and he had a group of people, Pastor Paul Begley, Michael, who's been a caller on our show, BP Earthwatch, a few people, and there were some technical issues he was having. Hopefully we can get everybody together and try to do that again. But, that was unfortunate that didn't work. But anyway, I don't know where you want to start first tonight. Dad, we got a whole bunch of stories that we want to get into.
I had somebody send me an email asking me why you called me Dad. And we are the premier father and son, I believe, premier anyway, father and son investigative team on the internet, on radio. So to answer your question about that.
There's a lot of other things I'm sure I've called you before that wouldn't be fitting at the moment. So, yeah, we'll stick with that.
Yeah, you went through a phase, and I think you're still in that phase of that. No, seriously. Very proud of of what you've been doing lately. I'm very proud of your stature. You're very proud of how you've really taken a lot of things and ran with a lot of research topics. Folks, this is one thing I want to say to you. Lately, and I'm going to admit this. Boy, it's difficult to admit sometimes, You look at various... HomelandSecurityUS.com is not a news aggregation site. We don't take other people's headlines, or we don't take other people's stories and put them up. We do investigative work, and we put it up. And we do our own analysis of the news, interviews. I mean, it's just Joe and I, and my wife does assist in the bookkeeping, but it's just Joe and I in terms of research and the face of Hagmann and Hagmann, the interview, the in the trenches. So sometimes and of late, we have not populated our website with information. Now, what we have, however, and to explain this to people, it's a little bit, it's kind of, I don't know, froggy, if you will. That's my word, froggy. What happens is we have numerous investigations that are taking place, or we have conducted in various phases of investigations. In one investigation in particular, I've been working on this for the last year and a half. Yeah.
Anybody have sound that's in the chat room?
Are you saying that we're muted?
All right. Larry from Buffalo said he had to use the default player. I see a lot of I hear nothing for me, no luck, default player not working. Some have sound through the default player, apparently.
Okay.
Apparently, and I see a comment that this happened earlier with on Rick Wild's show. So maybe this is a BTR thing. I would send everybody over to Cube, and I'll post a link in there.
The Hagmann and Hagmann report.com. Spell it all out. The Hagmann and Hagmann report.com. FM quality audio there. There is a chat feature there. But definitely do that if you're having problems with your BTR default player or whatever it might be. But as I was saying, and thanks for your patience, because we are working with what we have. And just so people understand this too, and it's good to remind people, we do pay we pay a premium to broadcast. So this is not like we're using some sort of free service to get our for our radio show. And we're also simulcast not only by Christians United, but a couple of terrestrial stations as well. Now, if you would say, well, where are they? Demographically,
they're around.
Yeah, but demographically speaking, you're not going to be able to tap into them. They're not online. I don't want to say pirate stations, but they're very small wattage stations that serve very limited areas. So the people who really benefit from those simulcasting, they know. So I'll just stop right there. But just to get back to what I was saying before, and I'm going to turn this over to Joe here in a second, but because there are a couple of issues that you need to know about, ladies and gentlemen. You need to know the various investigations that we are in the final stages of completion and have completed, one of which is so important is Subud, which is related to the death of Loretta Fuddy in Hawaii, which is related to a number of other things, including but not limited to Barack Obama, his mother, his alleged mother. That's coming out. That other people have all of the documentation on that investigation. So if anything did happen to me, of course, it wouldn't hamper the investigation from coming out. Which reminds me, Michael Hastings. Don't forget, Michael Hastings was killed, in my view, in a car accident. I mentioned this yesterday, but I think this bears repeating. I mentioned this yesterday about Michael Hastings, and he was at the time working on this big story. Isn't it interesting? One of the stories that he was working on at the time of the car accident was that of Bo Bergdahl. But the real big story was that of John O'Brennan, now the CIA chief. Folks, let me tell you something. We are a captured operation. John O'Brennan is a Muslim. Now, I can't prove that, but beyond a reasonable doubt in a courtroom setting, I can't prove that. But I could tell you this, based on the totality of evidence, circumstantial and anecdotal evidence, it would seem very, to any reasonable, sensible person that, yes, John Brennan, the head of our Central Intelligence Agency, is indeed a Muslim. That's number one. One of the investigative reports that I have in the final stages of completion is, of course, how Brennan fits into things like Benghazi and other matters that go back to the early days of Barack Obama, and even before that. We're getting ready, folks, to populate our website with a lot of information. I felt like I've had paralysis almost. You look at all the headlines, you just don't know where to turn. What's important? What's chaff? What's out there that is deflective? And what's really important? So we had to wade through that. And I really felt like I was, in fact, I received a couple of emails saying, "What'd you do? Quit writing? Just stop writing? Can't you write anymore?" And it's not that. It's just the information, checking the information, double-checking the information, making sure that we were coming to the appropriate conclusions. Because right now, one misstep, boy, we could lose a lot of credibility, couldn't we? That's what I believe. All right, one thing I want to alert everyone to this, and I found this extremely interesting and relevant to what we're talking about. Folks, you know Judy McLeod. She is the founding editor of Canada Free Press, CanadaFreePress.com. One of the finest journalist I know. She's got the nose of a bloodhound when it comes to, metaphorically speaking, of course, when it comes to sniffing out news stories. And this past week, in fact, she was dealing with some of the same things that we're dealing with in terms of information and certain topics. And I'm not going to get into the topics because I just don't want to. I don't want to give anyone any ideas at this moment. But she called me early this morning, and we were talking, and she said the funny thing happened this past week. Canada Free Press has never been hacked. Oh, there have been attempts, but it's never been hacked. Interestingly, Canada Free Press was hacked into this week. I'm not going to get into details, but this was a very, very professional job. It turned, much like ours, it turned one of their hard drives into a paperweight. It seems like that does happen, doesn't it? Now, it's interesting because this Brian, who is the technical person at Canada Free Press and the man behind the website, it does just a fantastic job. If I knew half of what Brian forgot about stuff and tech stuff, man, I'd be wow. But he was able to mitigate the damage and to capture a lot of data or information about the hacking attempt. And bottom line is this: the website never went down, or if it did, it was only momentarily. The data was saved. Of course, they've got redundant systems as we do. But folks, that should tell you something. That should tell all of us something. We're not safe in cyberspace, number one. And number two, depending on what we're working on, the government in particular, and I say our government in particular, under, the intelligence agencies, the Western intelligence agencies, and in particular the CIA under John Brennan, we're not safe. Flat out, we're not safe. And they've got a long reach. Canada Free Press it proves it. Judy is not one to to overstate anything in terms of problems. So when she said that she was hacked, you could take it to the bank. That not only was she hacked, but were they hacked, but they were hacked by professionals. I just want you to know that. So the reason I want you to know that too is because we are entering into some very dangerous territory right now, information-wise. Now that's not to be dramatic or anything like that. It's just really to be matter of fact. It's just to tell you that, look, the stuff we're going to be getting into and the stuff that you're going to be reading at CanadaFreePress.com and HomelandSecurityUS.com, the information is going to be revelatory. And it's going to be very matter-of-fact, citable, and no hype, I guess, no hype. That said, Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know we have Kevin.
Not tonight.
Not tonight?
I don't believe so. I don't believe tonight. And I talked with his brother through text, and he said call him tomorrow. I need to call him tomorrow when I get a chance.
Well,
so
the good news
let me
is...
text Kevin. Maybe they have different or haven't spoken to each other. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, while you're texting him, let me just kind of tell everyone. The good news is the app, the phone app, the Android app, or... Okay.
It's about complete.
It's almost complete.
It's complete. It's about to be published.
Okay. All right. All I can tell you is this. It's got features that we're very fortunate for, and in fact, when we unveil this, and I guess this will be tomorrow unless I hear otherwise from Joe now or shortly, when we unveil this app, this is, you know those little squares that look like, I don't know, blurry paintings, or I don't even know what you call those things. The little squares, they're computer squares, and you scan them. They're not barcodes, they're just a bunch of obscure lines. We have one of those. I don't know what that's for, but we've got one of those.
Okay, Kevin is on hold, first of all. Second of all, the sound. I was talking with a representative from Blog Talk Radio, and they came in to listen to the show, and they didn't have audio for a while. It came on. Then it went off, and then it switched to a previous show. So they said the techs are going to be working on it now to fix the problems, and they apologize for any inconvenience. But I just want to let you guys know that. So
are we talking to anyone?
Yeah. Okay. There's some people. There's several people though that still can't hear the show that are in the chat. So I'd imagine there's a lot of others out there that just can't hear the show.
To the text at BTR, look, we love you guys. We know you're working hard. Please do what you can to expedite the process.
Well, let's since Kevin's been on hold, and I apologize for waiting, Kevin. Let's bring him on now. Okay,
good. Now, why don't we're going to bring Kevin on, let him introduce himself, his company, and what he has done for us. Kevin, you're up, my friend.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Kevin.
Can you hear me? Hey.
Loud and clear.
So, have you got a chance to download it? What do you think so far? I love it.
Kevin, I have not. Joe, I think you have. Kevin, before we get into that, if you want to the extent that you feel comfortable, tell our audience a little bit about your company, what you've done for us, and the product that you've created.
Well, as you know, the one biggest issue that I think me and everybody suffers is we have to listen to your show archives. And if we're on live, then we can do other stuff with our phone. But for us to have to listen to your archive show because we can't listen to it at night, it's a problem because we can't do other things on our phone. And I'm sure Android people suffer the same thing as this iPhone, that when you minimize the window, you don't get to listen to your show. So that's when we came up with the idea of doing the app for you. And right now, my company is called rmsappstore.com, and we've been doing this for about, 5 years. But that's basically the reason why I wanted to do it for the show. We're all of us are such avid listeners of your show, and we want to be able to listen to the show and do other things on our phone, just like everybody else does. So I can email and still keep you guys chugging along in the background, as it were.
Cool. Now, I'm not sure if it's customary for an app to, for the design and implementation of an app to cost $250,000, but that's what they charge us. Folks, what do you think? No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, I know you did it for the really a very inexpensive. You gave us a break on the price, but from what I understand,
and it was not like. We called them and asked them to make us an app. They built a prototype, and this is something we've wanted to do, but since we have so much to do, we seem to run in circles so frequently here, we never got a chance to get into that, and they made a prototype and said, here, we made this, and we want to know if you guys want to do this, and it was fantastic, and I got to thank you guys for taking the initiative to set this up.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited about the downloads you're going to get, because as soon as I even hinted at it on one of the blog rooms, people went nuts. Where can I get it? But then it was just a prototype. We have to wait for everything to get approved by Apple. But in the next few days, it's available now. It really is. You can go to Apple Store and download it. Go to Hagmann app. And but for all the listeners, I should say Joe's going to do it, because Doug, I think, still uses an abacus and a calculator.
Hey, I've got a slide rule, okay? I still have a slide rule. But,
and I did just find it. I did just find the app. Searching, just type in Hagmann, Hagmann, and the word app, and you can install it.
Yeah, so hopefully over the next few days, you guys will add stuff. We'll take it back, and then we'll even if you download the app now, people in the audience, the changes will still affect yours as well. You're not going to have to re-download the app. We just need to get Joe and Doug to put the final pieces on there, and then once it's finished, it'll blow any of the other apps away. And you know what I'm talking about.
That's great. Now, is it idiot-proof? Is it Doug-proof? And does it work on Android?
Yes, it does. Android people already know how to get to their. They don't have an app store, but they all know how to get to it. But it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. Hagmann. That's all I have to do. And yes, it's extremely Doug-proof. It's that's it. Saying Doug-proof is good enough. Everyone else will get that.
Yeah, believe me, folks. I'm sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
We're also making one for Sheila Zielinski. I talked to her actually waiting for her to call me back today. Anyway, we're making one for her, and we made a prototype, and hers turned out really well as well. And the other one I was trying to get a hold of Dave. I'd like to make one for him, and Steve. We're going to make a prototype for him as well. So yeah, everybody's going to follow your lead now that the Hagmann and Hagmann app is out of the bag, as it were.
Perfect. Well, this is fantastic. All right, so just so I understand this, so I don't screw this up, you go to the App Store, type in Hagmann and Hagmann, and it's a free download, right?
That's correct. It does not cost anything.
All right, and somehow.
Go ahead.
No, just somehow magically that turns your phone into something that you can actually do other things as well as listen to the program, right?
Oh, yeah. It's going to have all of your old archived shows you'll be able to listen to while you're driving down the road, sending emails. You can do that. You'll be able to listen live. There's a blog thing, so everybody that has an app, all the thousands and thousands of people will be able to talk to each other. There's newsletters, part of it, and there's other things that you're going to be adding and taking away at the same time. There's going to be a listen live button, so you don't basically you're going to push a button that's going to call in So for people who want to call in, I don't know if you're going to like that or not, because then you'll have so many more people calling in. But I know how much you love your audience, so that'll be a big thing. There's also a little thing Ronnie and I put in. So when you go to those big functions, and say you're going to listen to you guys in Bozeman, Montana, and you leave your car, and you don't remember where you were parked. Well, there's a little GPS thing on there, so you can hit it when you walk away. So GPS will take you back to your car. Just little things like that we like to put in to make it kind of personal.
Cool. I need that more than you know, Kevin. Believe me. Okay. My goodness. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
Yeah, it even does even more than that. Like, you guys I hope you don't get overwhelmed over the weekend, but we'll all sit down. We'll talk this weekend. We'll get on another conference call. But again, the website is rmsappsstore.com, and any listener to the show will definitely get a good discount, because this is why we did it, so the people who are awake in this world can listen to the truth that's going on, because we sure ain't going to get it any other way.
That's right, and I love this lightning speed information highway. I just copied the link, got the link off iTunes on the computer for the app, and shared it on Facebook and Twitter. And put it in the chat room.
Oh my gosh, it's going to get downloaded.
Hopefully people will.
I'm so excited.
We'll start to download that, and we can inundate you with calls if there's any issues or problems, or excuse me, start forwarding you the
that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. You guys have done more for me and the people that listen to your show than I'll ever be able to do for you. But we're in this together, and that's why we did this.
And Kevin, look, folks, Kevin is a man of integrity, character, and his business, of course. I would recommend anyone to support whatever, if you're in the market for whatever Kevin has. I mean, he's the go-to guy for many, many things. Your company name again and your web address, sir?
It's rmsappsstore.com. It's RMS and apps and then store.com. And we do it all. We're a one-stop shop for anything technology.
Oh, that's great, and I'll tell you, we are so thankful and indebted to you for what you've done. It's gonna be fun to watch. You're talking to a guy that I look at this. I don't know. It looks like
when there was no TVs in the world.
Well, you look at a phone, and I'm looking for the numbers. Where are the buttons that for the numbers, for crying out loud? But anyway. So when they take the numbers away, the buttons for the numbers away, that's where I'm at technologically speaking. But people that have these, I call them glass phones, I guess.
And Kevin, I got a question here. Is this will the app play live shows right now? And you might have went over this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes, that was the main reason I did it, so I can listen to the live show and still be able to send emails and stuff on my iPhone. That is the number one reason why we did this.
Okay.
And then like Doug said, the great thing about this app, it's a living, breathing machine. It's going to grow. It's going to take on a whole life of its own. You guys have no idea what's going to happen with all these people downloading. And it's almost like a Windows release when they release it. And everybody that has it sends all the information back to Microsoft and release the service pack. We're going to be able to make so many changes and fit it to our audience. It's going to, and just like you said, you're excited. We are too. Everybody here at the App Store is just can't wait to see how this is going to take on a life of its own.
Okay, Kevin, just we'll do this on air, I guess. I'm looking at the app. I hit the Listen Live button, and it brought up a show of from Steve Quayle and V from about a month ago.
Do you see do you see where you can have archive show, recent show? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, it is, and
I got to bring it on. It's hard for me to bring it up.
If you press a couple buttons, you can get to the live show. But I don't know if that's the main show. Everybody else was getting was the Steve Quayle. It was called like Game of Thrones with Financial Insider V. But you can just press a few buttons there. And actually, Kevin, if you need the main link to our site, on Blog Talk Radio, if you in the blue letters Hagmann and Hagmann report underneath the logo right above the live time where the time is signed, that'll take you to, I think it's Blog Talk Radio, CFP hyphen radio.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Ronnie and I were working on, but you guys had left to go to Bozeman, which put you out of touch for a couple of weeks about Blog Talk. But we're already with them as far as that. As soon as you hit the listen live, you're going to get that same follow button above it, just like you do on your website. And of course, we also are building you the mini web for everyone's phones, which comes with it, as you can probably already see. Yeah, we work with Blog Talk about getting, as soon as you hit that listen live button, it's going to pop up instead of having to go through all this. But like I said, that's all the stuff that me and you are going to do over the weekend as far as tweaking it to make it yours.
Fantastic. I'll tell you, Kevin. Again, we are indebted to you. We thank you so much for all that you've done, and we are excited to grow with this. To have others use it, folks. It's available now. But
one other comment, sure. Concern I see people have here in the chat room. Apparently, there's a lot of ads that are playing because what it is the Blog Talk player is. The outlet used in the app for the Listen Live. And I don't know if the ads are from Blog Talk, but apparently they're coming through on the iPhone.
Yes.
Yes, they're from Blog Talk.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we'll talk with them.
And that's one of the things we're going to have to. We're talking with Blog Talk about as far as directing your show through them without the ads. I noticed the ads at the very bottom of the screen. I'm looking at those right now, actually. And that's, again, they're going to have to talk to you about that because they couldn't answer the questions that they had to ask you, but you were at the convention, how do I get that? That's what I want to see.
If you go to our website, and folks, we are going to do our best to, well, I'll tell you what, to answer your question is this. If you go to our website, HomelandSecurityUS.com, click on the Whitestone Conference logo on the right-hand side. It'll take you to a page that will explain the DVDs that are being made right now. And this is not, just so people know very quickly, you're not going to get DVDs of dry lectures of people standing at podiums and just standing there talking. You'll get some of that, but you're going to get the essence. And this is important, the essence of the conference, I don't want to say outtakes, but the individual interviews. I mean, I did an interview, Joe did an interview, many attendees, presenters did their own personal interviews in addition to...
Hello?
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Ronnie, they called me. They ambushed me. I wasn't ready for it.
I'm sorry?
You're on the air, Ronnie.
You can't do this to me now. I'm driving down the road.
The question is about the ads, about the pop-ups that we're going to have to work around with Blog Talk. And you're only talking to probably about 100 million people, so don't be nervous.
No.
I can't actually, you guys. I'm driving down the road. I'm in the country. Looking for a tractor.
I texted Ronnie before when we just went on air, so he didn't seem like he was coming on the air tonight, and so we apologize, Ronnie.
So
that was fun. So let's continue this. We'll do this again. Hopefully, at the end of this week, when you guys get to tinker with it, and make sure you write down all the little things that you want to add and that you may want to delete. And we'll have all this done next week. We'll have the finished product in days.
Okay.
That would be
Kevin. Before we cut you,
as soon as we talk tomorrow, I'll have it finished.
All right, Ron. You be careful driving, and don't be talking and driving. I'd grab Joe's phone and throw it out the window. Kevin, there's this box, an image. A black and white image. It's kind of one of those things that you scan. Apparently, what's that called? It's not a barcode, but it's a
Oh, QR code.
GR
That's a little square that's got little squares in it.
Yeah. That's what it is.
That's a QR code. That actually, when people scan that QR code that I sent you, it takes them straight to the store for their app.
Okay, QR, like Q for
yes.
Q-tip. Okay, all right, gotcha. All right.
It's like a bar. It's a barcode that
it's a barcode
to the checkout. So people who have iPhones, they know what that is. It's a little camera, and you take a picture of it. It takes you directly to anywhere, really anything.
Right, anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere we tell it to go. And right now, that one I sent you takes them to the mobile website app, and then if they have an iPhone, it takes them to the iTunes store, and then if it's an Android, it'll take them automatically to the Google store. And if they got a Windows phone, then it'll go to Windows browser mobile app that you have.
Gotcha. All right.
When we get on the phone, I'll explain that a little bit more because I try this, you got to get this. But yeah, that's what the QR for is send them to your app.
Okay.
Yeah, you see those
very
QR,
good.
Those QR codes are everywhere now. If you haven't noticed.
You know, when you buy something, it's got, instead of a manual, it's got scan this QR code, and then the manual's right there on your phone.
Wow. Yeah, I've
QR
seen
codes
them.
can be used for anything.
Okay. Yeah, I had no clue what they were used for, except it just looked like a twisted barcode, basically.
Yeah, like a little
tic-tac-toe
board.
Yeah, really.
You download from the store for your phone, download QR scanner. Now, when you see these little codes, you can scan them.
They're free, Doug. You can just go to the App Store and just type in QR scanner, and it's going to load an app to your phone. You can take pictures of all the barcodes. They're actually kind of neat. They're everywhere now. Menus at restaurants, just everywhere.
Should that be on our website?
Starbucks. Well, if somebody's on your website, then they're on a PC.
Okay, so it wouldn't do. In other words, no, I shouldn't put it on the front page of the website or on our website.
No, because they're already on a PC. That's how they're seeing it. Now, here's the thing. I sent if you look at the email, I sent you something that said HTML5 redirect.
Yes.
And that is to go. This is if you wanted people to, when they went to your website, to automatically it would go to the app. Then you would put that little script in your website, and what will happen is if they hit your website with a mobile device, it'll move them over to the app. If they hit it with a PC, of course, it'll stay on your website.
Okay.
Now that you can do it that way, or you can say, little icon saying download our app here, and that way when they're on a mobile device, they can go and click that and download your app.
Very
There's
good.
two ways of doing that. We can force them to go to it, or they can click it to go to it.
Very good. Yeah, certainly I don't want to force anyone to do anything. We'll give them the option to do that, and we'll talk more about this privately and get it together. But folks, we're excited about this. Obviously, as you can tell, Kevin and Ron, great guys, very excited about this as well. It's going to open up an entire new world of listening and of interacting. So this is a fantastic thing. Thank you so much, Joe.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you guys, and I look forward to. I'll be talking with one of you, at least Ronnie tomorrow. I don't know if you'll be there, Kevin, but God bless you guys, and thank you so much.
Hey guys, thank you. Me and Ronnie, bottom of our hearts, we thank you for the honor that we got to do this for you.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Well, thank you, and this will be great, and folks, we'll explain more about it as the week unfolds. God bless you both. Thank you, Ron. Take care driving. Don't wreck loud. And Kevin, we'll talk to you soon. All right, buddy.
But you guys, I'm looking for a tractor to build a container home, right? Shipping container.
I didn't catch that.
He's getting a shipping container.
I'm actually getting shipping containers and building a home out of them.
He's building a home. He's going to prep a home out of a shipping container.
Well, I'll tell you, those work well too if you bury them. Just have a little vent pipe out. But yeah, it's fantastic. All right, brother. God bless.
All right, guys.
Thank you, man.
Take care,
folks. RMS App Store, fantastic people. Thank you for putting up with that. Putting up with us during this time, especially with the audio issues that we're having. Again, I just want to say,
fixed.
Yeah,
for you
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All right. Now, a lot of news tonight, a lot of information, a lot of analysis to get into. As I said, last night was really kind of the larger picture, the broader scope of things. Tonight is going to be more in depth into different areas. Joe did a lot of work on the smart meters and the lies that are being told to all of us, the capabilities that are being hidden, and this is an important thing. We've got information about Bergdahl, folks. I do have a new piece up at CanadaFreePress.com right now. After the show, it'll be up on HomelandSecurityUS.com as well. Apparently, there's a psychic in the White House Communications Agency, which is formerly run by the military. The reason I say that is Obama, every president, as well as every member of the president's immediate family, has a Secret Service code name. I may have mentioned this yesterday. If I did, I apologize if I didn't. Well, of course, this is new information.
I don't remember. We talked about this before the show. I don't think you got into, unless I'm misremembering, I don't think you got into this last night.
Well, the interesting part about this is, ever since Woodrow Wilson came into office, the Secret Service has grabbed a code name for the president, or in the case of Obama, the person occupying the White House, and the members of their immediate family. And the office of the White House Communications Agency is the actual agency that gives the Secret Service the code name. And my contention is there must be some psychics or clairvoyance in this particular agency, because Obama's code name, Secret Service code name, not so secret code name, is renegade. And if you look renegade up in the dictionary, some synonyms for renegade include rebel, lawless one, and traitor. Now, as these names are assigned oftentimes on the campaign trail, or when I say oftentimes, I mean it's as soon as they're sworn into office, I mean the names are solidified. To me, there's almost a factor of clairvoyance there, because to provide this code name renegade for Obama, meaning the lawless one, meaning traitorous, seditious even, tyrannical. I mean, look at the synonyms. Pick up we'll pick up a dictionary and just look at the definition and some of the synonyms. You'll see what I'm talking about. So my contention is, my goodness, they must have known in advance what a clairvoyant. And I did write in there that I certainly would like to have lunch with the person or people who picked that name, selected that name beforehand, and for the selfish purpose of asking what tomorrow's lottery numbers will be, because you get the humor in that, or the irony in that, I suspect. But that's up at CanadaFreePress.com, and I just want to say thank you for that. CanadaFreePress.com. If you're listening, God bless you. All right, Joe, let's get into some news analysis that we need to do, because we've got a lot of information here, a lot of things that we've sifted through, a lot of data that we need to really impart The economy is huge. If you want to start, though, however, with the smart meter research that
we can start with the economy. There's an article here today from Michael Snyder. Russia is doing it. Russia is actually abandoning the dollar.
Yes.
And it says they have a strategy called de-dollarization, and they're making the move against the petrodollar. The largest natural gas producer on the planet, Gazprom, has signed agreements with some of the biggest customers to switch payments for natural gas from the $1 to euros. So the largest gas company on the planet is now no longer going to be taking payments in dollars. They will be taking payments in euros.
Okay. Folks, this is a big deal.
And this is done with the full approval of Russia's government.
Well, of course. And Putin is a benefactor of Gazprom, part and parcel with Gazprom. He's a billionaire. It
holds 18% of the natural gas reserves on the entire planet, and it is one of the largest companies in the entire world. It makes up 8% of Russian GDP by itself.
Okay. But the one thing, and regular listeners know, what we're seeing here with the economy, this move by Russia to move away from the petrodollar, to take us out of that petrodollar status and therefore world reserve currency status, is in direct. This is actually in direct response to our intervention in Syria. Everything right now that we're seeing take place, the epicenter is not Ukraine. It's not Libya, although Libya is a big part of it. It's not Africa. Everything we're seeing play out, it's not even Israel at this point. Everything we're seeing play out right now, especially between the United States and Russia, is Syria. So this is a move by Russia to take down the U.S. dollar, to kill the U.S. dollar. And if you haven't heard the YouTube, we're just going to kill the U.S. or we're just going to kill the dollar. If you haven't heard that YouTube based on the article I wrote, well, I'll tell you, find it and pass it around, because it's more true today than it's ever been. And the result of this show is going to be the demise of our economic structure here in the United States, and that'll cascade to all of the world, all of the Western world, and we will be looked upon as the pariah of the world. And this is important for people to understand. This is a planned event, and although the theater of it is Obama versus Putin, this is the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, the center elite, playing both sides to win and to consolidate and to create this new global currency.
Yeah,
so that's what that's about.
Other news on the economy: the IMF has sounded the global housing alarm, and this from Financial Times. It says the world must act to contain the risk of another devastating housing crash. The IMF warned Wednesday, as it published new data showing home prices are well above their historical average in many countries. The warning from the IMF shows how an acceleration in global housing prices from already high levels have emerged as one of the major threats to economic stability, with countries making limited progress in keeping them under control. And it goes on to list the majority of countries and the banks that are intertwined with them, and it gives the numbers, the global house price index, and it shows the house price growth or house price loss. And this housing bubble, we've talked about this, is something that is one of many bubbles. And in 2008, we talked to W. He made the point that it was just the housing, the mortgage crisis that was the issue. Well, you imagine 7 bubbles of that magnitude popping off at once. It's the housing market, it's the dollar index, it's the stock market, it's whatever else it is. But they go on to say here that with the IMF numbers, it looks like there is a high risk for another great recession in the very near future if they do not do something Policymakers do not combat the shortcomings with a different approach. And that from the Financial Times.
And I think people really need to understand that you're going to see a period of perceived prosperity, and I think we're seeing that right now, where things appear to be okay, especially in the housing industry. But what will happen is think back to the Carter. Remember the 1979, 1980, even 81, the Carter years, where interest rates were prohibitive. You'd have to be a fool to buy a house back at 18.5 or 18.25% interest rates. Yet and of course, look at what happened to our economy back then during the Carter years. This will be exponentially worse. You're going to see a period right now that we're in of perceived growth, but that will be short-lived.
Yeah. And we're almost at the top of the hour. A couple stories here from Iraq. Iraqi insurgents take Saddam's hometown in lightning advance. Sunni rebels from al-Qaeda splinter group closed in Wednesday on the biggest oil refinery in the country, making further gains in their rapid military advance against the Shiite-led government in Baghdad. The threat to Baji refinery comes after militants from the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant seized the northern city of Mosul, advancing their aim of creating Sunni caliphate straddling the border between Iraq and Syria. Now, we read an article yesterday about Iraq, al-Qaeda seizing the third largest city in Iraq. This is a more detailed report talking about not only the city, but what else, resources and other things that they have taken control of and captured. And here's a quick audio clip of what happened and what's going on between Iraq and Turkey now. This, I don't know if it might turn into something bigger or not, but take a listen to this.
Insurgents in Iraq have reportedly kidnapped 48 Turks. The group of people, including 3 children, were taken from the Turkish consulate in Mosul. Turkish authorities have confirmed nobody in the group has been harmed. Al-Qaeda offshoot, the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, seized the country's second biggest city on Tuesday. Mosul is an important strategic prize for the group. It's located on routes linking Iraq to Turkey and Syria. Turkey's interior minister said his country would react with appropriate measures. 500,000 people have fled towards the Kurdish city of Erbil to the north of Mosul. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan has held an emergency meeting to discuss the latest developments.
So you have remember the picture, Dad, where you showed and you put this up on the website? I think it was 4 million Syrians fleeing Syria, walking out of the country or walking to a refugee center.
Correct, I do. And if you look at the photograph, those were middle-class people, comparable to the middle-class people here in America.
Yeah, and that clip there, they said 500,000 Iraqis out of that city were fleeing. So we have more American-created foreign policy disasters.
And the important part here, folks, is this: if you look at the pictures that on the evening news that you'll see, you'll see Al-Qaeda, members of Al-Qaeda, or the the groups known as Al-Qaeda, which are backed, funded, staffed, supported by Western intelligence agencies, including our own CIA, and especially our own CIA, by the criminal element within the Western intelligence agencies, by the criminal element within our government, by the criminal element within the National Security Agency, people like the National Security Advisors, whether you're talking about Kissinger, Brezhnev, whoever it might be. This is what we're seeing right now, that are actually using folks, they're using our weapons, they're using our assets, our Humvees, in fact, even in some cases, our own uniforms that we have left for them. Now, ISIS. You're going to hear a lot about ISIS, which is the terrorist organization, or the Islamic terrorist organization for Syria and in that region. It's known by the acronym ISIS. Well, do you think for one moment this is an accident? What is ISIS? ISIS is the goddess of motherhood, magic, and fertility. The name ISIS means throne. If you look up the meaning of ISIS, if you get into the Greco-Roman period, for example, it was believed that the Nile River flooded every year because of the tears of sorrow which Isis wept for Osiris, and Osiris and ISIS. There's a connection here. So this is really an in-your-face globalist agenda. People have a hard time, and even me, when this is explained to me, and even now, it's difficult for me and the normal person, average person, to comprehend how much of this globalist agenda is, this overt globalist agenda is actually we're seeing. But ISIS is a group that's active in Iraq and also invading, propping up, and supplying the anti-Assad people in Syria. And they're being funded by our own Western intelligence, the criminal elements within.
Yeah, on the other side of the hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about as I said, that we talked about earlier, the smart meters, and also a few other things that have to do with, there's a May issue of Newsweek that was released, and May 15th, 2014. I just saw this yesterday for the first time. The cover says, "The plot to destroy America.
Yep.
Conspiracy theories are a clear and present danger." And it goes through, and on the other side of the hour, or on the other side of the break, we will go through some of this article. And
it's an important article.
And I went through this article, and for whatever reason, the smart meter remark they made in here jumped out at me. So I did a little bit of digging, and I knew a little bit about smart meter technology, but what I learned didn't shock me. It just verified what I thought. But they talk about it in here as they say that smart meters is part of Agenda 21 in the New World Order, where electric companies will conduct surveillance on customers through the smart meters, and they say this is all part of the tinfoil hat, crazy conspiracy theorist, anti-government people.
Right.
They believe that. So on the other side, we're going to get into that, and we're going to take you out here with what Chuck Cagle knows.
Have we made other trades with the Taliban?
With the Taliban, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know exactly the relationship. I don't know. We don't know the facts of all of that until he gets back and we're able to get the facts. I don't know all the history of that transfer. I don't know all the history to that, Congressman. I'm not the legal person here, but I do occasionally read. I don't think there were any precedents set by this. And as far as I know, I don't know about the 80 or 90 number. Let me ask the General Counsel. I don't know. We don't know all of the pieces. I'm not sure he said that about what you just said. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe. Do you know that?
Maybe.
We don't know. I don't know. I can't answer a question that you can't give me the question to.
Gentlemen, hour number 2 of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report on this Wednesday, June 6, 2014. We're going to be getting into...
Let me stop you right there.
I already knew it.
June 11th, 2014.
What'd I say?
June 6th.
Oh, I was looking right at the date, too. Interesting. Before the break, I talked about a Newsweek from Newsweek article or magazine from May 15th, 2014, with the headline, the cover of the magazine, "The Plot to Destroy America, Conspiracy Theories Are a Clear and Present Danger." It goes on in this article to list many quote-unquote conspiracy. They say that, it goes through different, as I said, different conspiracy theories. It says now, here's a brief rundown. George Bush murdered thousands by orchestrating 9/11. Barack Obama is a Kenyan national and holds the presidency illegally. Education standards developed by state governors are part of an anti-Christian communist plot that will turn their children gay. Unemployment rates and the report numbers for Obamacare signups are lies engineered by the White House. Water fluoridation doesn't prevent cavities in children and has been adopted for a range of nefarious purposes. They go on to say conspiracy theories have been woven into the fabric of American society since even before the beginning of the Constitution. But what this was once dismissed as a amusing ravings of a tinfoil hat crowd has in recent years crossed a threshold, with delusions, fictions, and lunacy now strangling government policies and creating national health risks. These kinds of theories have an effect of completely distorting any rational discussion we can have in this country, says one Mr. Mark Potok, a senior fellow at the Southern Poverty Law Center, who wrote a report on the impact of what is known as Agenda 21 conspiracy, and goes on to say they are having a real impact now.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, do not dismiss or underestimate the effectiveness of the Southern Poverty Law Center and their ability to really create a lot of problems for people like you and I, for us normal people out there, just trying to make a difference, trying to share information. This Mark Potok is, in my view, a very dangerous individual. This article from May 15th, although we're talking about it a month later, the article actually came out, I think it was May 6th or 5th, when it was first published in Newsweek. But this is an extremely important article that did not get enough play. So go ahead, Joe. Continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, and it goes on to list many different reasons and effects that these conspiracy theories have on people. And they talk about Common Core and how it says, unfortunately, Common Core and the implementation, there are strong people that oppose and support Common Core both equally. And whether it is the right way to improve the nation's school system is open for debate by well-meaning participants. Legitimate questions exist about whether standards have been appropriately tested or whether teachers should be judged based on the performance of their students. And it goes on from there. And some of the things it also gets into are, as I said, Agenda 21. It goes into how Agenda 21 is a prime example. The name refers to a non-binding statement of intent signed in 1992 by President George H.W. Bush and 177 other world leaders. It goes on to say, under the auspice of the UN, those countries expressed their interest in managing urban development and land policies that would minimize the impact on the environment. And it goes on to say that this new world order is out there through Agenda 21 to seize private property and advance the cause of communism and to crush all dissent. It says death maps will be created to determine where people will be allowed to live, as some of the theories go. Electric companies will conduct surveillance on customers through smart meters. Now, and it goes on to really, some of the things it talks about in here, it just, it's a long write-up, and it makes a lot of opinionated statements for being an article on theories. It's not backed up by any type of, they have no references. They list all these things, they make all these claims, they have no facts to back up what they say. But just for the case...
let me just chime in here. It was a poorly done, poorly researched, poorly cited piece. that was really meant to be a hit piece against anyone questioning the official narrative of government. And I think that's what people really need to be fully aware of. What this one edition attempted to do was lump in the absolute most insane with the mere questioning of, for example, Common Core, or the questioning of the legitimacy of things like fluoridation of the water. And it made what this did was it appealed using neurolinguistic programming, I believe anyway, straight from the instructional pages of the Tavistock Institute, if you will. What this has done is made people who would buy this or have this Newsweek edition, this particular edition of Newsweek, take a look at you and I and say, man, we're just absolutely nuts. We're crazy. So this was really, it was painting us as lunatics, anyone who dares question the official narrative of any government plot, plan, scheme, or practice. And it really was short in citations. And in the case of fluoridation of water, for example, failed to cite the numerous scientific studies of the adverse effects of fluoride in the water. So, but go ahead, because you did pick something out of there that, Joe, I think that you've done so much research on that that many people know, but I don't think they really know with the precise level of specificity that they need to know about smart meters.
Yeah. So I gave you a PDF. Looking into smart meters, I found a few fact sheets put out by the Department of Energy and different energy companies that issue smart meters. And this particular one is from Florida. And it talks about smart meters are like old mechanical meters. Smart meters measure how much energy customers use, not how they use the energy. They do not store, transmit any information about who our customers are, where they live, or what they are doing, nor does it know what appliances they use. Well, you look at the Department of Energy's own publications, it talks about their alliances with different companies, and some of those companies are the United States Telecom Association. And what would you need a telecommunications company set up with a electrical machine? Well, this telecommunication company has a number of services that it provides for the Department of Energy and these other energy companies, and these are verbal data, conversations. The smart meters not only focus on energy use, where it's used, how it's used. They use I would call it a 4D mapping is the best way I've heard it explained.
Yeah,
they use
folks,
it to understand who's in what rooms, who uses what corridors the most.
Yeah.
Who's what's a hallway, what's a bathroom, who's in here, who's in there. And they even go on to say here in their own letter that a central tenet for achieving this outcome is to ensure the Department of Energy stated that the smart meter technology adequately respects the consumer's reasonable and often widely differing expectation of privacy. And it goes on to say, customers will more readily accept and adopt smart meter technology if they have assurances that their privacy is being protected. Now, how can we as a society, after seeing all the lies the government and all their branches and tentacles have constantly told us, who's going to rely on what these people say or just take it for face value? Because they say right here, they have to be assured. And it goes on to say
well, just to make it clear, and I really want people to really understand this, that we have in our hands, in one hand, a PDF by who issued that PDF about what the capabilities of the smart meters are allegedly. The smart meter companies themselves, the power companies, the government themselves, denying things, denying the capabilities. Yet, in the other hand, you've got a file that completely contradicts the public information, Joe. So you've got two files. One for public consumption. The other is, well, it's out there, but it's kind of buried among all the other muck and mire. So I just want people to really get this in their head that it's really it's buried.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into more what the Department of Energy says here. But in this article on conspiracy theorists, it says, often prominent individuals suggest that their political opponents are engaged in nefarious activities. They hedge by saying they are merely attempting to raise questions that should be considered, experts say, of starting conspiracy theories. One of the most common ways of introducing a conspiracy theory is, you ready for this? Just ask a question.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
If you ask a question, this is the most common way of starting a conspiracy theory.
And remember, folks...
What about getting an answer?
Well, yeah. But remember the question that was asked on Fox News to Geraldo about Building 7, and his response was, I don't know anything about Building 7, never heard of Building 7. Well, that was pretty much the end of the discussion about Building 7. Now, folks, regardless of what you think of 9/11, it doesn't really matter. Building 7, all you have to do is just ask the question, and automatically what you're saying, Joe, is simply by asking that particular question or one like it, you're automatically branded a lunatic.
It goes on to say, we should worry about conspiracy theories and misinformation as they distort the debate that is crucial to democracy. They divert attention from real issues of concern that public officials should be debating.
And, of course, they use the word democracy, folks, pretty incorrectly here, obviously. But how many times have we heard over the last several years or the last several decades even that we live in a democracy? Well, at least the last 5 decades. It's not true. We don't live in a democracy, at least not here in America.
They're going to say, these anti-American Tea Party activists say things like, we don't want our children to lose their innocence, being taught Common Core, being taught homosexuality in schools, about same-sex marriages at such an early age. They say Common Core teaches none of these things. In fact, it pretty much teaches nothing. There is no curriculum, no imposed method of learning, no books that must be studied.
Really? I mean, now think about that. It's kind of like that Seinfeld episode when they were doing the pilot for NBC, and what was the pilot about? It's about nothing. Well, the Common Core, in this case, they want you to believe it's about nothing. And in a kind of a convoluted sense, it really is about nothing, at least nothing substantial in terms of mathematics, arithmetic. Remember when they used to call it arithmetic? They don't call it arithmetic anymore. I don't know what they call it, but it's not that. Yeah, the curriculum is a non-curriculum, and everything is relative, subjective. 2 and 2, again, you've heard it before. 2 and 2 may not equal 4. It could equal 5. It depends on the circumstances. Everything is relative.
Researchers agree conspiracy theories are espoused by people at every level of society seeking ways of calming the chaos of life, sometimes by simply reinforcing conviction. The world around us can feel more disordered and chaotic for various reasons. This researcher from Dartmouth explains, conspiracy theories provide a way to restore feelings of control and order. It goes on to say. And it shifts from conspiracy theorists to extremists. And
that's a different classification.
Right.
The extremists will act upon or the difference there, the distinction there is the conspiracy theorist is, well, they engage in intellectual discourse, asking the question, and that's kind of the preliminary stage. The next peg up is the extremist. Go ahead.
Well, it goes on to say that through the extremist, once they, if there are 37% of people believe the Food and Drug Administration were conspiring with pharmaceutical companies to suppress natural cures for cancer. Other conspiracy theories show that cell phones are the cause of cancer, and doctors are secretly suppressing the information and how harmful they are to children. Then they get into, in the extremist side, they get into, are people driven by these misbeliefs that they learn, these conspiracy theories, because they're insecure, because they're not healthy. They list a number. They say in here, it could be paranoia. It could be for stimulation. It could be for lack of sunscreen, it says. But it goes on to say that despite these real-world effects, conspiracy theories in policy, politics, public health, and any attempt to combat these suspicions face an enormous challenge. Marshalling facts to demonstrate the falsehood of a conspiracy merely serves to convince the theorists even more that they are right. So this is what this Potok says. Marshalling facts to demonstrate the falsehood of a conspiracy merely serves to convince the theorists even more that they are right.
Well,
putting simply, people with data and information will not convince them that they are mistaken.
Obviously,
that's from Pat Sunstein.
Okay, well, the bottom line here, a conspiracy by definition is at least two or more people engaged in nefarious or criminal activity. I mean, very simply put. And any person that has ever walked into a courtroom or has been engaged in any type of court legal process on the criminal side certainly is well aware that conspiracies are prosecuted all of the time, every day, in every county or state court, for example.
Now, I'll wrap this up here and get back to the smart meters, but it goes back to, he cites Sunstein's article, and he says, Sunstein wrote an article in 2008 about conspiracy theories in government and the problem of theorists who are online speaking only to other true believers. Usually those people could be ignored, but what about instances where a group of Islamic fundamentalists or other extremists are spreading conspiracy theories that might promote violence? In those instances, Sunstein says, possible tactic could be cognitive infiltration of extremist groups, by which government agents would enter chat rooms, join social networks where these kinds of dangerous theories are promoted, introduce information intended to raise doubts about them. Agents will disclose their role with the government or not. Sunstein said each option offers different risks and rewards.
Well, and that's happening here. That's happening in our realm, in our venue, in our universe, where we have, and we see people come in, whether it's to our chat room or whether it's by email or in other methods, using other methods, and you can see it if you belong to any type of forum, whether it's a survivalist forum or a political forum, folks, or any type of discussion on the internet. You can see the thread creep. Somebody going in there and all of a sudden diverting the topic of the thread, or marginalizing the people who are attempting to discuss intellectually some sort of issue. And we saw this with Butter D. Zillion on the Free Republic forum, where she was putting out information that had verifiable and citable substance, and there were a few people who diverted the conversation. That's just one example. It's just one example of many that I could point out, but it's not exclusive to any political forum. It's widespread, and the infiltration is extreme.
And we didn't want to go on a tangent on conspiracy theories, but I wanted to share that article with you. because I find humor in that kind of stuff anymore. But one of the things I did, as I said, was looking into the smart meters more. I found a few documents from the Department of Energy, and they deal with some pretty interesting things. Things I haven't really thought about. Well, what they've done in one of these PDFs, they ask who will benefit from the smart grid. It says, apart from definitional issues, a host of questions arise to what smart grid may mean for the consumer. A number of third-party service providers have started to provide energy-related services that will take advantage of smart meter data, while other services are currently being developed. This new third-party market entrants will strategically position themselves between the consumer and the utility, resulting in what has been termed customer disintermediation, and occurrence in which vendors offer attractive energy products and services to consumers that will allow customers to bypass their local utility. Basically, it starts to question, who will benefit. It's not the consumer. Third-party service providers, third-party.
It's anybody but
government,
the consumer. Yep.
Right. And as I said earlier, the telecommunications companies are a part of this, and it says here, U.S. Telecom member companies provide a full array of services to consumers, businesses, government agencies at the local, state, federal levels. The service ranges from traditional voice telephony, consumer broadband and video, as well as managed services for business and government agencies. Consumers and businesses alike are reaping the benefits that broadband networks afford. And so we learn here that they're using telecommunication agencies, smart meters, that use services.
Yes, smart meters, right. Yes.
That transmit voice communications, consumer broadband and video, and other managed services for government agencies. Goes on to say the smart grid and the information gathered from the smart meters, the bulk of the consumer energy usage data from inside the home will travel over an interface driven by the consumer's choice of an energy management provider. Now, we talked about a PDF that is a smart meter fact PDF. It says, like old mechanical meters, smart meters measure how much energy consumers use, not how they use the energy. They do not store or transmit information about who customers are, where they live, or what they are doing, or how they are using their appliances. So, and it goes on to talk in these PDFs exactly this. In order to create this safe environment, in order to, and part of this was done and implemented through the Green Initiative, the carbon cutting emission initiative, they are going to, and it says right here in the document, the customer has to understand that they're going to be giving over control of their personal data and energy usage, a reasonable degree of control they're going to be losing. It says it right in the document.
Exactly, and just let me punch this home a little bit too. Any type of green initiative, or have you seen the green E, small case E, being used more and more frequently right now? Well, this is part of it. So what the utility companies are saying in particular is we're going to collect this information, and it's going to help you. We're going to be able to, in fact, ultimately, it's all about convincing you that they're going to be able to save you money. You used a word there, or a phrase, Joe, reasonable provision, or providing reasonable information. I believe that the consumer would agree to, correct?
Yeah, they were going to give up a reasonable degree of control over the use of their personal data and electric abilities. All
right, and there it is. They don't define that. What it goes back to what Clinton. It depends on what is. It's all semantics, but think of it this way: everything that you heard about appliances being able to spy on you is true.
It gets worse. It talks about the numerous benefits of a smart grid and through smart meters. It says similar enabling customer technologies can be found in in-home business security services that are broadband enabled. Customers and businesses today can remotely monitor their homes, loved ones, and businesses through a wide range of third-party security services. And
see, I can do that. Let me admit this.
But
For example,
so the functionalities and consumer empowerment discussed above offer an exciting prelude to what is possible with the smart grid technology. For example, consumers will be able to monitor their thermostats, water heaters, and other applications online. Well, so will the government.
Have you seen, for example, at Lowe's, and I'm just using this as an example, their Iris technology? Have you seen that? Where you buy this one box that does connect to your broadband, and you're able to remotely control your thermostats. In fact, you can hook up your cameras to it. You can unlock your doors, turn on and off your lights. That's being peddled to you for your convenience. Now, in my case, okay, you can bypass. Obviously, you don't have to belong to Iris, but I mean, you can remotely view. Like right now, where I'm sitting, I could see what's going on in my home from my studio. But This is not what they're talking about. They're talking about an interface that is sending information, transmitting information via the smart meters into government third-party hands or subcontractor third-party hands.
And it goes on to say, like personal information, individual customers' energy data uses should be subject to privacy safeguards. As is often in the case with seemingly innocuous data, certain information, such as time of day patterns of energy uses, can provide insight into information that many customers would consider to be sensitive, such as third-party providers of smart grid services, should ensure stringent privacy protection measures are in place for consumers. Any third-party access of information should be appropriately secure and protected by the Privacy Consumer Data Act. But it goes on to say, key success of any smart grid initiative will be the adaptation and implementation of open and secure standards. Adaptation of standards will help foster an ecosystem where third-party smart grid technology services will thrive and develop their full potential. Now they have 3 focus points, sets of data that are identified here that they want to focus on: aggregate residential energy use, electricity price, and demand response signals. You know what demand response signals are? Are you hungry, and do you list a type of food or a restaurant? Are you going to say out loud at your house you're going to go out of town and stay at a certain hotel? Well, you'll start getting ads for these things as your voice transmits certain products.
Yeah, folks, you think this is science fiction, and I thought it was, man. When Joe was telling me this, I thought, no. But using the existing technology that's more than likely inside your home already, but using the smart meter technology, and I know there are a lot of people who talk about smart meters out there, but when you're looking at this technology, anything that is a smart appliance, and that could be a blender for crying out loud, right? I mean, if it's got the smart technology built into it, has the capability of the dual capability of transmitting and receiving information, including but not limited to your own voice.
Now listen to this. It says the FCC and the National Broadband Plan is focused on further increasing and adapting a development of what it believes is a critical time to promote innovation. What they want to do is drive broadband adaptation and utilization and take an active role in formulating a solution that will spur the development of a retail market for such devices that work across all manner of video delivery platforms. Now, when I think of the mark of the beast, I used to think of a system where people would be marched into camps who wouldn't take it, and if they would take it, they'd be let back out into the world, and, they'd go through life kind of like zombies, like you see now, only they'd have to have that mark. But think of society, and we almost live in a society where everything's on a screen. Everything is projected to us. Now think of how, when we think of the mark of the beast, these instruments are more often than not, I would say 99.9% of the time, more often to distract away from the Lord and His purpose.
That's a good point. Very good point.
And how dangerous that is. Now, if this is happening now, and we know that, Satan, how he works very subtly throughout the last 2 decades, implementing or instituting a form of technology, expanding it rapidly to now where we see, transhumanism, we see man molding with machines, we see all this future stuff. There's a point where you can't go any further with this technology stuff.
Well,
without becoming a machine.
I was going to say, or can you? And in going further, isn't that what Steve Quayle was talking about? And he has been talking about xenogenesis, for example, the transhumanism. And don't forget, think back to, and this is something that our intelligence insider W had talked about. I think it was during the May 2nd broadcast. When the kings in Egypt and in antiquity were buried, they were buried with their trinkets, their jewels. They were prepared their bodies were prepared a special way because they believed that at some point in the future, technology would be there to reincarnate their bodies. I'm not talking about reincarnation. I'm talking about reanimate or revive or again to create to allow them to live again. Think about the technology today, and also think about this same thing that W had said earlier about where our consciousness resides. Does it reside in our body, or does it reside outside of our body? And if it resides outside of our body, what implications does that have to what we're talking about here today? Quite a bit, if you think about it.
Yeah, and last on the smart meter thing, and I'm looking for it here, there is a part where it asked, should consumers have the right to opt out? And the answer was no. I'm looking for it here. It just said no, not at all. Okay, here we go. I think this is the one. Should consumers be able to opt in or out of smart meter development or have control over what information is shared with utilities or other third parties? No, is what they say. A tenant should not have the ability to opt out of using them. The objective of smart meters and the private and public expenses that accompany such a capital investment is to generate sufficient, reliable, usable, and accurate data on energy consumption. We can ideally understand and manage behaviors to conserve power use. Such objectives would be compromised if tenants and other consumers can simply avoid using smart meters. So, no. So we're going to install these. They're going to spy on you, literally, in every sense of the word. Then we're going to ridicule you if you know about how it spies on you and call you crazy. Yet we're going to admit in our own documents that anybody can find all over the internet at how we do it, and you can just expect your often widely differing expectation adequately or of reasonable, often widely differing expectation of privacy. Let that definition remain as they feel it is, and it is only to what you know. And the people that know how damaging this is can fight this in court. As the one PDF says, that is a fact sheet, a BS fact sheet. It says that wiretapping this is an illegal form of wiretapping. This is under the myths section. And it goes on to say this: the use of smart meters is not wiretapping. It's completely legal in all respects. Just as traditional mechanical meters have always done, smart meters measure the amount of energy used at a property as part of a consumer service agreement to purchase electricity from the utility. And that's the end of the argument. Yeah. They don't address the issue of whether or not they even listen. If you were really not wiretapping, wouldn't you say no voice or verbal communication is transmitted? You would make it clear. But they skirt right around the issue. they say it's not wiretapping, it's completely legal. And then
Right.
they go on to talk about something else.
And that's a good catch on your part. And I think that when, as people get educated in what these devices do and the smart meters, we need to really become educated. Now, and I've heard from several people in several different states where they have objected to having smart meters put on their home, meaning the electric meters themselves.
They were arrested.
Some have been prevailed, though, in getting them removed. So, I mean, it depends. I certainly, what I did on my electric meter at my home, I put a label on there saying this meter is not to be removed or replaced with a smart technology. Gee, is that going to help? Is that going to stop them from doing it? Probably not. But at least I've got some sort of whoever would come to replace that meter would certainly know that I know. So I don't know. And we've had people, Joe. We've had people on our program before talking about this very issue as well, and we'll bring those people back on because they've done so much groundwork for these. But the bottom line is this, and I think this is extremely important in the surveillance society in which we live, where there's cameras on you 24/7, basically, especially if you're in New York City, and who's operating these cameras? Who's operating? Where does this information go? Does it go to a government repository where it lies dormant? Not necessarily. It's actively monitored in some cases, as in the case in Southern District of Manhattan or around Wall Street. In that area, it's actively monitored. And who's doing the monitoring? DHS? No, it's DHS as well as the global corporate interests, whether it be Joe Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan Chase. And J.P. Morgan Chase, by the way, is just merely, based on my research, a front for the Rockefellers. So, this is where we're at with this. And I think people need to know that you're not safe in your own home. If you've got wireless broadband, you're really not safe in your own home because it's a two-way street. And if you've got a smart meter and wireless broadband and smart appliances, yeah, they can track your movements from the bathroom to the kitchen to the bedroom, and as you pointed out, Joe, the hallway. They can track
anywhere,
everything.
Everywhere. Yeah.
So it's important for people to understand this. Now, how can we fight back against this?
Kill all smart meters.
Well, yeah.
No, I mean, there's many ways. Information is the truth. The truth is the number one way, and the truth without an agenda, except to want to help your fellow man, is the only way you can successfully get that through.
And even if you're listening to this outside of the United States, and many people are, understand this technology is just not here in the U.S. It's all across the globe. This is international in scope, so we're all in the same boat, folks. Whether you're listening to this in Australia, hi Trevor, or regardless of where you're listening to this, you're a victim in this. And this is 1984, really on steroids. George Orwell, the Orwellian concept on steroids. Something I don't even think Orwell could have really got into this as deeply as we're into this, or had the ability to really understand the technology behind it. The anticipated completion date. I noticed when I was looking at the paperwork, all of this, I mean, they want everything done by 2020, whether it's the installation of a complete smart grid. And this, by the way, Joe, let me toss this out to you as well. Here we are talking about all of this technology that operates off of the grid, yet we are warning people, or people are being warned by some of our guests, that, hey, they could use an EMP and take down the grid anytime they want. So isn't that counterproductive if they take down the grid?
Yeah, until a point. The grid will have to be taken down. The best way for a sneak attack would be to cut communications so nobody could talk with each other and attack then. With the way communications are today and the fast nature that people can communicate different things from any part of the world, would leave them vulnerable at a time of attack. If it was, gloves off, this is it. Okay,
and after looking at your research and the depth of your research and all the information that you have uncovered about this, it would seem to me, if I were to be planning this, what I would want to do is install as much of this technology everywhere possible, get as many people involved in this process, and once you know where everyone stands, or once there is, and I can hear people say, "Oh, there's not enough people to monitor everyone out there." Go ahead.
You could get a speaker and somehow wrap it around your smart meter and insulate it, and just play terrible music really loud, and build a soundproof box so it doesn't get out from around your meter or your stereo, and just.
Is that true, or
I don't know if that would work. It's just an idea.
Okay. Well, but really, the bottom line here is, I do believe it's the intent of the globalists to really collect the information on the dissidents, the political dissidents, the people who are going against the agenda of the globalists, and at some point, once they have the what they want, people think, well, this is a big country, and I used to say this as well. This is a huge country. How is it possible that you could do this, or anyone can do this in a country of this size, or in Europe, for example? I mean, you fly across the country, you look down, you see the vastness of the country. But we talk about Agenda 21, and as you fly over the country, you can see cities like Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, I was told, or I heard in a video, that you could fit all the world's population with, I think, 1 or 2 square feet in Jacksonville alone, that being the biggest city in the U.S. Per square foot. I mean, how much land is out there?
Right. And so, but the push is to the big cities.
And you see these cities from the plane. Like we saw Denver.
Right.
The city of Denver looked like a tiny little speck. And all you see is just constant green fields, green trees, lands with green trees. So much land.
Right. So what's behind the push to push everyone into cities and into these high-rise buildings? Well, it's to get everyone cooped up together. I mean, this is all part of the process. Now, I know that's a pretty academic way of describing the process, but just think about it. Instead of having across the fruited plain, no, what you do is you put everyone into these, as I think Ron had mentioned, or Kevin had mentioned, almost like container apartments, if you will. It's small apartments or townhouses, and you get them that you go up into the sky, or you stack people on top of each other. And this is the way to control people, to control their resources, to control their ingress and egress, to control their travels, to control their supplies, by putting them into cities. What's Agenda 21 all about? Taking away the property from the American homeowner, from the American people, from the Europeans, from whatever country you might live. It's a global agenda, not just an American agenda, but a global initiative to throw you into compact areas where you can be better controlled, kind of like a FEMA area, if you will. And the more cluttered you are or confined you are to a certain area, the better you can be controlled. So as you fly and you see, look at how these cities have developed, and look at the government's initiative in pushing all the people off of large pieces of land. Look what they're doing to the Bundys, as an example. And taking away land from citizens and taking away your homes, taking away your property, and forcing you into certain areas. I know that's not the best or most eloquent way of saying it, but isn't that what the objective is here? Of course it is.
Interesting article from the Free Beacon. Russian bombers fly within 50 miles of California coast. 4 Russian strategic bombers triggered U.S. air defense systems while conducting practice bombing runs near Alaska this week. 2 of the Tu-95 Bear H aircraft coming within 50 miles of the California coast. North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, confirmed on Wednesday. Hasn't this happened a few times recently, too? We've seen this happen.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
The 4 crafts were nuclear capable, apparently, and F-15s were deployed to intercept the bombers as they eventually flew within 50 miles of the coast before turning around and heading west.
Now, think about this. Think about that. Steve Quayle, I think, has that up on his website about the Russian bombers. Bill Gertz is reporting this. But think about that. 50 miles off of our coastline. Do you think that Russia is intimidated? Look, we know that this is just one level of the chess game that's being played. But do you think Russia or Putin is intimidated by America? Of course not. Do you think this would have happened 10, 15, 20 years ago? Probably not. I mean, things did happen, of course, that were somewhat provocative, but not this in-your-face, overt, look at this, so this is what we're going to do. And here we go. 2 U.S. Air Force F-22 jets scrambled, intercepted the bombers over the Aleutians. And you better turn yourself back on there.
See, I'm usually the one telling you that. Now, this last article before we take the top of the hour break. Obamacare penalty to hit 1 million low-income Americans. Roughly 1 million low-income Americans will pay a fine under Obamacare, according to the Congressional Budget Office. The CBO estimated that 4 million people would pay the individual mandate penalty for not having health insurance by 2016 as a result of the president's health care law, according to a report issued last week. And apparently, an estimated $4 billion will be collected from those who are uninsured in 2016. An estimate $5 billion would be collected per year over the 2017 to 2024 period. A chart accompanying the report revealed that 200,000 of those paying the penalty earn less than 100% of the poverty line.
Well, guess what? I ain't paying. Sorry about ain't. Nah, I'm not sorry about that. I'm not paying. I'm not going to pay the penalty.
You know what they do? They freeze your assets. They would take it right out of your bank account.
That's assuming that you've got assets to freeze.
Correct. But as we move towards a less cash, more digital, as it's harder to get money or earn money. I mean, you have a job, your employer doesn't give you cash usually, unless you find a good under-the-table job.
But see, and here's an instance where if everyone just said no, we're not going to play, we're not going to do this, and decided not to do this, could we not prevail in this case if everyone just refused to play the game?
Absolutely, but guess what? That would never happen.
Why not?
Because even if all the people who were awake and understood refused, you'd still have 90% of the population that wouldn't care at all and would continue to go buy their TVs, their shoes, whatever it is they need on that particular day.
And there it is. This is why we do this show. I had somebody send me an email asking or saying that, geez, it sounds like you're preaching to the choir half the time, or it seems like you're preaching to the choir. Why would you even bother doing a radio show? Because what we're trying to do is inform the people and to sway history, to sway actions of people. Yeah, I know it's a long shot, but not doing anything at all is absolutely unconscionable. So that's why we have to educate, inform, and even to do at the very least to influence. And if we can influence people into following their conscience, following the scripture more appropriately, yeah, I think we've done our job. What do you think, Joe?
Absolutely. With that, we'll take our top of the hour break, and we will come back on the other side with your phone calls at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. Your phone calls and more news in the third and final hour on this Wednesday. We are here in the third hour this Wednesday, June 11th, edition of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. We do have issues, apparently, with the sound again and with calls. I noticed, when we ask and say we're going to take calls, there's lots of people that call in and line up. Well, the number of callers has remained the same, and people in the chat room, I just came back in there, I saw a lot of people were getting kicked out. A lot of people were reporting no sound. So we do apologize for the inconvenience, but I did start a dialogue with BTR again, and hopefully if there's any issues or glitches, they will get those fixed. If not, you can go over to Cuban, Christians United Broadcasting Network. They stream us live also. If Troy's getting the same feed as we are, it should be fine. And yes, refresh. Sometimes refreshing does help with these issues, but we do apologize. 661-244-9839 is the number.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to call in to see if it works myself here. But
I do believe, though, the app will help as well. Those people who are listening on the telephone, on their telephones, whether they're iPhones or smartphones or whatever you want to call them. A couple of things I just want to mention. First of all, quote of the day, and I want to keep doing this more and more because some of the quotes are so appropriate for today's environment. Quote of the day by James Madison. Folks, listen to this. Do not separate text from a historical background. If you do, you will have perverted and subverted the Constitution, which can only end in a distorted, bastardized form of illegitimate government. How true is that? How true is that? The other issue, too, I want to give people an update. Butter the Zillion, the internet researcher, about the Fuddy, the mysterious plane hard water landing carrying Loretta Fuddy off the coast of Hawaii, December 11th, 2013. She was, of course, the custodian of records for the health department for the state of Hawaii, and also the key person who authenticated the certificate of live birth for Barack Hussein Obama, that his attorney hand-picked up from her. Of course, she reportedly perished, one of the sole, or the only fatality out of supposedly nine passengers of an aircraft. Well, the bottom line is this: we continue through your support, and we had asked you for your support, and we're continuing to push for records. It's interesting, the latest, and I'm going to just say this, and we will provide you with more detail, but right now it would be counterproductive to get too much detail. But the latest is this. Two different requests for records. We had asked for, Better Zillion had asked for the records. They were reportedly sent out in hard copy form by U.S. mail. They were never received. Now, this is a very familiar stall tactic. But we are pushing ahead. The one minefield that we are fighting, and folks, this is an interesting strategy that the state of Hawaii had, was created a vexatious litigant or vexatious requester classification. So what that means is this. If, for example, you bother them too much, or they say, you know what, you asked us once, we sent them out. You asked us again, we told you you sent them out. If you ask us a third time, we are going to classify you as a vexatious requester, and therefore you get nothing. So what we're trying to do is obviously avoid that and circumvent any and all potential minefields there. Of course, I personally feel we do know how to do that. Right now they are stalling for time, and we are pushing them, putting the pressure on pretty hard. And I just want to let you know that and the state of Hawaii is not the only agency that we are going after for the multitude of FOIA requests, FOIA requests. It's not the only agency. In fact, the big one, well, that's coming. More on that at another time.
Let's try and take a phone call.
All right.
We're going to go to area code 253 first. 253, we're coming to you now. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey, Doug. Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Oh, I know that voice.
It's Jack Groening up here in Lakewood, Washington there.
I know, Jack. I know that laugh too, buddy.
You know what? I didn't get to collect on that coffee out there in Bozeman. I didn't get to make it, man. I waited too late. I couldn't get a ticket.
You know, I didn't know that, but they were actually turning people away, except those who had come quite a distance. I think that they attempted to accommodate as many people as they could, but they actually had to turn some people away that were attempted walk-ins. So, but missed you there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really, looking forward to seeing you guys and meeting Pastor Langford and Steve Quayle and everybody. Man, I just missed it.
Well, that's
but
all right.
You know what? I wanted to tell you something. I don't know if I've been talking to Chance by here a few days, and we both. I was watching this video on YouTube. It's if you write this down, I want you to see it. It's 2014 Efrain, Efrain Rodriguez. That'll get you to the YouTube. It's about the meteor that's coming in, the meteorite, the meteorite or the asteroid that's coming in. You know about it?
Right. Caller, what was it again?
It's 2014. This is a prophet from Puerto Rico. You got to hear this, man. You just got to hear it. Efrain Rodriguez. I thought maybe Chance might have told you to take a look at it. We both seen it.
No. What's the bottom line with that? If you can share with our listeners, what's the bottom line with the video?
Deal. Listen to this. This is the deal. This prophet had this vision, dream. I don't know what you want to call it, but anyway, he had it when he was like 16 years old, and the Lord had told him what was going to happen here. And listen to this. This is some truth to this, because he had notified the Puerto Rican government what was going on and what's about to happen, what's going to happen. And he also notified the Obama administration about that too. And, of course, they've neglected it. But they did send FEMA down to Puerto Rico with 3 million body bags. They're still taking in trucks of food and water there. They're getting it set up. The United States doesn't know anything's coming. NASA knows about it, but they won't tell nobody. And they're preparing for an estimated how many people are in the United States? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know the exact number.
If I heard this right, it's estimated that 35 million people in just the United States will die. Have you not heard this?
No, I haven't heard this at all.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so what you're saying is this meteor hitting the Earth is going to cause destruction here in the United States, among other places.
It's going to hit off the northern coast. Yes, it's going to hit off the northern coast of Puerto Rico. It's going to pretty much waylay all of Puerto Rico, 1,000-foot tall wall of tsunami, and that's going to break off and head towards the east coast, supposed to waylay the east coast, all of it. And he was talking about 100 miles inland and from the coast, and he's talking about this is going to set off the earthquakes. It's going to break off part of the west coast, going to break off up the middle of the country. You know, all the fault lines are going to be.
But haven't we heard this before?
Have you heard this before?
Yeah, I mean, didn't we hear this with Ison or, something similar?
With who?
With Comet Ison or another comet. Haven't we heard this scenario before with the body bags
I don't know.
FEMA Region 3 and sometimes I wonder, and nothing against this video or anything, because I haven't seen it. I don't know, but
yeah, right.
It just seems like we're constantly bombarded with news like this, and it's getting a little bit difficult to understand or to follow whether what's this based on. Is it based purely on vision, or is there some sort of scientific backing with this, or is this just purely someone's vision?
You know what, brother? I don't know what to tell you, but just take a look at it. You know what?
I'm gonna do that.
You know what?
Do that.
You know what? Listen to this.
This is something
really
Augusto Perez. Augusto Perez is good friends with this person, and he's talked about this on our show.
He has.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
I'll have to find the dates, but I know for sure he has talked with this person and is friends with this person in Puerto Rico, and has talked about this on our show on a number of occasions.
Well, I found this video, and I thought it was, it just felt right in my spirit, and I said, I started writing the text out to Chance, and I wrote the text out to him. I said, you want to look at this, and when you get to it and you think it's credible, send this to Doug and Joe, and send this to Pastor Langford and Steve Quayle, because he knows you guys. And I said, take a look at this. You know what? And as soon as 5 minutes later, he called me back and said, Jack, this is weird. He says, me and my wife watched it twice just yesterday. And what's a coincidence in that you're watching it the day later? I said, wow, that's weird.
Interesting. We will indeed watch the video. And any time frame as to when this is supposed to happen, or again, knowing that we'll watch the video, but was there any time frame that was given?
You know what? The time frame that he could really give was that it was going to be in the winter time because of the hour difference between Puerto Rico and the East Coast. That's all he could give. He said it would be in the winter time.
All right, and this does strike a chord with me with Augusto Perez now that you mentioned it, Joe. I think it was the time before last. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the time before last that Augusto was on talking about this.
Oh, I haven't heard this before. This was the first time for me. I seen the video. I thought, man, this is just wow. Okay.
Thank you. Brother, thank you so much. Wow. Well, leaving on kind of a bummer of a note, but definitely we'll check it out. And
yeah, not too much laughing tonight, huh?
No. There you go. Now we got it. All right, brother. Thanks for the call, my friend. God bless.
Bye-bye.
You
right. Too. Bye-bye.
All right. Good call. Let's move on to another caller here. We're going to go to area code 573. 573, you're up next. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hello, gentlemen. It's Theo Sullivan. How are you?
Very well.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. I wanted to thank you guys. I heard you guys say a while ago about you guys have been such an inspiration to all of us. And for those of us who are homebound and sick, you've become like family. And I just wanted to tell you that. We get a lot of information from you, the truth, the Word of God, and I think that's so important. Right now, I believe that one of the best things we could all do is call for mass prayer, and I realize that may sound naive, but I think sometimes, what God wants most is the simplest of things that can produce the greatest of miracles. And I'm a big believer in miracles. So I did want to thank you so much for everything you do and for the good word that you spread and the hope that you do give and the truth you tell. We need to know that. It seems that we're at a time in America that I realized recently, I've read several articles that 1 in 2 Americans are at the poverty line or below. And I'm not asking for sympathy or anything like that. I think it needs to be told. I suddenly realized we're back where we were during almost, with the Oklahoma Dust Bowl. There are those of us who are sick. We did not ask to be sick at all with these kind of, I guess, design diseases, if that makes sense. I had a very prosperous future at one time, and I became very ill. They gave me all kinds of chemicals. I'm not making excuses. I should have known better. I had a medical background. But I think it's very important for those to realize that, yes, that there are 1 in 2 Americans that are at the poverty level or below, and our health care, our health is deteriorating. I realized recently with the illnesses I have, the debilitating diseases, I noticed that, and this is very embarrassing for me, I was always very vain, I noticed my teeth were turning gray. And for my medical background with all the other things that were going on, I realized I'm malnourished. And my son and all my friends, we live in a very small town, very small rural area in Missouri, and I see this over and over and over again, and yet there are so many people that are blind to this, to that fact. But I feel it's a very important one that people should be aware of. And congratulations so much on Butter Bezillion. I did send what I could afford to help. I think that is so important.
Well, thank you for that. First of all, we want to tell you that all of us as a family, extended family, should hold you up in prayer for whatever maladies that you're going through. What's your first name again?
Donna.
Donna, okay. We need to do that. it seems like you're infirmed, and yeah, you're infirmed and homebound. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, pretty much now. It started with MS, and I believe now that with my medical background, all of the research I have done with my doctors, it's no longer really MS because aspartame poisoning mimics MS.
Yes.
And when I found that out, I was diagnosed with MS 15 years ago. And I thought, oh, my goodness. That's what this has been all along, because when I gained a lot of weight when I first became ill, I 5'2", all of a sudden found myself at 224 pounds, and that, again, for somebody as vain as I am, you just don't admit that. I thought, my goodness, this is where all this is coming from. And I was horrified and angry. I come from like I said, a small town where I know what bothers me more than anything, gentlemen, are the children, the high school kids, the junior high kids, the grade school kids. The ADHD drugs, the bipolar stuff that comes through here is astronomical and unforgivable. My son Tim, I think I mentioned before, he passed away at 19. And while I was all doped up on morphine from the fibro and the MS and immense pain, he would stand by my bed. And every time I caught him smoking an illegal herb, so to speak, I would throw him in rehab. I didn't know any better. I grew up in that generation. I'm 50. I thought I knew everything. Turned out I didn't know a lot. He said, Mom, I don't like the way the Concerta, the Ritalin make me feel. And he was one of those really special children with the high IQ, very creative. He was an author. And then I would throw him in rehab. He would go in for 3 days. They'd put him on different psych meds, and it just really messed with this brilliant child. I'm not saying that as a proud mother. I am a proud mother, but I don't mean it that way.
Did you say he passed away, though? He passed away?
Yes, he did. He did. I had to send him when the ADHD drugs and the Concerta, the Ritalin, all that stuff, the Prozac started taking effect when he was about 7. I had to send him to live with his father. And that didn't work over so well, but he went back when he was 15. And at drug-appointed court, he got caught with, I can't remember, less than half a gram, or something, a very small amount of cannabis. And the judge said, well, you go to rehab or you go to jail or, juvie hall. And so he was in rehab for 15 months in Florida and Tampa. Here I am in Missouri. I'm kind of like a mother lioness. It was very hard. When he came back, he wasn't the same. And it just kills me to see these kids being put on this stuff. And the districts are behind it. I went through it with both of my children. My youngest son, Andrew, my husband at the time was a school administrator. They wanted to put Andrew on ADHD drugs, and Joe and I put our foot down and said, absolutely no way. Will we allow this to happen, because we saw what happened with his older brother. And I think more parents need to stand up for that and realize that they do have rights, that they can say no. I wish I learned that too late. And when Timmy died, he was self-medicating. And he got hold of my mom's Xanax, and little did I know that he had a few that the MS caught and I had. And when I went up at 5:20 that Monday morning, he was alive at the foot of the bed. And when I went up at 8, he was gone at the head of the bed. And the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. But I do not want another child to have to go through this. And I see all these children raised without any kind of faith. They don't know what church is. They don't know what God is. I'm talking religion. I'm talking about belief and having faith. And faith has moved mountains for me before, and I know miracles happen. And that's why I would like to call for mass prayer. because I do believe in miracles. I know they happen. We live in a time, I grew up in a very political family with grand mentors that were family. And for the first time in my life, I can say I'm glad they're not here to see this. My dad, this would just break Daddy's heart all over again. He fought in World War II in Okinawa. Like I said, I came from a very well-respected family, and to watch this go down just breaks my heart. It just doesn't seem like I ever thought I would see it happen in my lifetime. And so I'm praying for everyone, and please pray for my children and loved ones, and I'll pray for yours as well.
Absolutely. Dad, you're muted.
Pardon me?
No,
now it's my turn to be muted. I'm sorry. Everyone, it's great to hear you laugh. We all, seriously, everyone listening to this program.
I'm very technology illiterate, I got to tell you.
I'm just all thumbs, and but the fact of the matter is, we're going to hold you up in prayer, and we're going to pray for you, your family. And you know something? I mean, your testimony tonight to me, I mean, it touched my heart. You've been through so much. You're going through a lot. You've lost family members. You're ill. I mean, my goodness, and it's so easy and here you are, it's so easy for someone in your position to say, I've had it. I quit. I give up. But you're not. You're asking, and you're an inspiration to others.
Well, thank you. I was given a gift a long time ago of being a public speaker. And the last speech I gave was for Governor Carnahan. And when he last ran for governor, well, not for Senate, but U.S. Senate, but for governor. And at that time, the head of the political science department came up to me and spoke to me. He was from Mizzou, and he wanted me to come speak to his class. I was known for speaking with an audience and engaging the audience. And I didn't have enough confidence in myself at the time. And now when I see all this go down and I realize what's riding on this, it just kills me to see so many people willing to roll over and give this up, give our country our freedom, what our forefathers and our fathers, our grandfathers, our brothers, sisters, they all fought for. And you could tell I come from a pretty political background, I guess. But
well, people have a tendency today, and I think you brushed on it here when you were speaking. It would be so easy for people to say, forget about it. I've got too much on my own plate, and look at you, And I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for being a strong woman.
Oh, hon, you're so welcome. You've got no idea what you guys do for me every night. And like I said, you've become family. You and Alex, Steve, and me, all you guys have. Really, truly, you have. It's not like I have to. My brain still works, and I have really self-educated myself, and learned a great deal. But people look at me like I'm crazy.
Well, welcome to our family.
Oh, my. They look at me like I'm the one dancing around with a feather stuck up my posterior.
I know.
Yeah, it's
I know.
something else. But thank you so much, and God love you.
Anna, take care. Anna,
I will. You guys
hang in there.
do.
All right,
I will.
God bless you. Thanks.
God
Thank
bless you. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You see, Joe, I mean, to me, it's, what do you say? I mean, what can you say? Coach Dave Dobbenmeyer, what a firecracker, what a ministry he's got. By the way, I did receive emails from people who sent to support Dave Dobbenmeyer. I'm sending out books tomorrow. The books that I promised. I'm sending them out tomorrow. But you know, here's a lady who's lost her son, who's ill, infirmed, unable to get out, and she's got more fight in her than how many guys in this country. You know?
Very true. You know, too many of them, if they do have fight in them, fight for irrelevant things that mean nothing or are on the wrong side of the fight.
I'm just so proud. I'll tell you, I am so that we are associated with, or let me rephrase that. I'm so proud of the people who have elected to associate with us. You know what I mean? It's and I'm not trying to win brownie points with listeners, but how can you not be proud of somebody like that? How can you not be proud of somebody who's got the spunk, and and says, I still have my mind, so let me do what I need to do. I mean, that's fantastic. So I just want to say that.
Absolutely. It's such a blessing. Let's go to the next caller, and that is area code 936, then 813 after that. 936, you're up next. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Doug and Joe, it's Mike Boone in the big thicket of East Texas. How you guys?
Mike? Very well. How's East Texas doing? You still holding tough?
Man, they don't even know who Alex Jones is out here. I swear, they don't.
Wow. Well,
you
got to spread the word. We got to spread the word
out here.
Hey,
well, good Lord sent me here for some reason.
Wow.
Whoa.
Okay.
Hey, I wanted to bring up something. Well, your White Stone conference. Did anybody ever say what the White Stone thing is about? You know what it's about, don't you?
Yes, and if you go to the link off of our website,
Bible.
if you click on the link, you'll see what it's about.
Yeah, the stone in white with the Lord's name.
Yeah, I had a dream. About getting a new name in heaven, and it was carved on a white stone. And just wondered if that had ever come up in the program, because I hadn't heard it. But welcome to the saint. And Donna's call, I hate coming just right after that, but people need to be really leery of what's being done to them. More than half probably of the folks out here in the United States now are below the poverty level, and it's just amazing what it takes to even live these days.
Michael Snyder just released a column that had a list of things about the state of the economy when people, I don't recall the exact title, but something to the effect of why you could or should laugh when people say the economy is improving, and I think there was a list of a dozen or so, maybe more, the points talking about how bad the economy really is, and what a snow job we're getting, the American public is getting in all of the West. And if you're listening to this in the UK or wherever you're listening to this, it's the same template. It's the same page. We are going to wake up, although I believe it's going to be kind of a stair-step approach. We're going to wake up one day. I mean, it's like a bowling ball going down the staircase. The further down it gets in the staircase, the faster it goes, because of physics, I guess. But I don't know, man. It's going to happen, brother.
I hope so, but I just see a lot of mind control so far, and I pray for y'all. I surely do. And I love the fact that you're so awake and on the smart meter thing. Oh man, wow, that's wonderful that you're on that story along with fluoride.
Well, yeah,
so many different ways they're trying to kill us all.
That's one thing, caller. We're gonna that we need to. I mean, one thing of many, but the be the slow kill, as Alex Jones talks about, the slow kill of the American people.
We're at war. We're at war.
Yeah.
And people just don't realize it. That, we've been, at war with our own government for many, many decades now.
Indeed,
and they sure aren't doing anything good for us.
See, we have.
Well, hey, love y'all. Love y'all. I'll get off.
You.
Let you get somebody else. Take care. Bye-bye.
Love you too. Take care.
Wow. Yeah, we are at war, Joe. Go ahead.
813 area code. We're coming to you next. You are now live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. 813? All right. We will go to the next caller. Area code 540. 540. We're coming to you now. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. 540? Hello?
Folks, we are having some audio problems. BTR has been working on them. Whoa, there we go.
All right. Sorry about that. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know. I hit the button, the one. I didn't know I got in touch with you. I really didn't, but I do appreciate you guys. I really appreciate. I listen to you every night and weekdays, and I heard you first on Alex Jones.
Okay. Both Joe and I were on Alex Jones here recently, and of course I was on earlier before that. Alex has been doing some good work.
Yes, and my son woke me up. He said, watch this, and it was the Obama deception. And but I've came a long way since then, but I feel like I knew that this all had to do Christianity and Jesus and the Bible. I mean, it's just so obvious.
I'm glad you said that, because originally when I first started out with my son, I didn't believe that. I couldn't make the connection. I shouldn't say I didn't believe it. I couldn't make the mental connection between Christianity or our faith and where we're at in the current events. I understood prophecy. I understand the eschatology, but I just couldn't make that connection, and now that's quite different.
Well, it took me a little while too, and we both, my husband and I both have Protestant and Catholic in our family, and I know that my sister-in-law is such a good person, and when I was sick, she prayed every night the rosary for me, and I know she's. It's not the people are okay, the Catholic, but as far as I'm thinking that I had a neighbor who recently passed away, and he was Catholic, and he told me I didn't know the thing about the last pope and the prophecy. And he's telling me all about this. And he actually believed it, too. And so it just almost seems like everything I hear anymore, I'm able to take what I hear on the news and fit things together, it seems like. It seems like I'm able to see more. Of course, I did pray for wisdom. So, I don't know. But I just want to tell you guys, I really appreciate you guys, and I listen every night, and I tell everybody I know, and my son, who's in New Jersey, and I told him to listen to, he said, yes, I do listen to them at times. So,
Wow. I want to thank you for spreading the word about our program, and I want to thank you for listening and for being awake and for being the person that you are. And I know that I just want to thank you for being the person that you are and for spreading the word about the program.
Well, I do believe there's a lot of people in this world that are listening to you guys, and you guys are special.
Well,
you're
thanks.
really special. And that's all I have to say. So.
All right. God bless. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I used to. My mother, Joe, my mother used to call me special, but I don't think she meant it in that way. You know. All right. Thanks. Thank you so much, dear, for the call.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. All right, folks. I just want to say this. Do you have something, maybe an antique in your house? Why don't you think about this? So think about this. Maybe a Persian rug. That's 4,000 or 5,000 years old, or I don't know how, or 1,000 years old, or whatever. Something that's old. Do you have some sort of iconic antique that's been around for a while? That's got maybe a checkered history. Do you? Listen tomorrow night to Pastor John Kyle. We're going to be talking about these things. He's got a deliverance ministry. I never knew what a deliverance ministry was. We are going to be applying the information, real information. I'm so afraid of getting the terminology incorrect. I'm not even going to get into it, but tune in tomorrow to learn about the potential for demons. Yeah, demons to be present in artifacts, or the hereditary curses or the hereditary demons. Again, pardon my terminology. It's going to be a very interesting program. Can't wait. That's Pastor John Kyle tomorrow.
Absolutely looking forward to that, and what we saw in Montana and talking with them on the phone, and it's going to be powerful, especially for those who are unfamiliar with Deliverance Ministries or Pastor John Kyle. But we have another phone call. We're going to go to area code 407. 407, you're up next. You are live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. I think that's Florida.
Hello, Doug?
Hey, yes.
Yep. Oh, good. You can hear me. Hey. I thought I lost you guys there. Sorry about that. Hey, no, I just wanted to, haven't called in a while, but I was, something I thought you might find interesting. I was kind of just been in a lot of prayer lately, and I just kind of, I don't know, I was at the grocery store, and I picked up this movie from Redbox, and so I bring it home, and I'm just sitting there, and I knew it was going to be a crappy movie. I'm just watching it. I don't know why. It's this movie that just came out, this Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit or something like that, some, kind of mindless whatever,
Right.
And it's funny because God had been talking to me about how, you've talked about it on your show, about how these people, the elite, they always kind of forecast, what they're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm watching this movie, and the whole premise of the movie is about this figure in Russia that is going to tank the American economy, and they've set this whole thing up to destroy the American economy and send us back into this Great Depression, and they're going to spark it off by this false flag event. Now, this is in this movie, and the amazing thing is, because God had talked to me for about a year now about some major thing that I believe is going to happen in New York. And I'm sitting there watching the movie, and I said, man, I hope they don't go back to New York with. And sure enough, the false flag event is this major catastrophe that they're planning for New York. And it's just funny. The reason, I don't get into a lot of this conspiracy stuff, but the amazing thing was I had prayed about this, and I asked God, why do they forecast this stuff? Why is this always? Because I've seen tons and tons of evidence that they do it, And the amazing thing was God showed me that, Jesus never, a lot of pastors talk about Jesus authenticating his ministry by signs and wonders. And that's never why he did that. He always authenticated his ministry by fulfilling prophecy, right? He always says, if you check out what he does, he always makes reference to, and this prophecy is now fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? He always makes reference to Isaiah and this and that, right? He never says, I'm God because I can do this miracle,
Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
No, so God was showing me that, they always are so jealous of this. They always try to copy everything that God did. This is their form of prophecy, right? They're going to show it, they're going to reveal it, and then they're going to make it come true. As sick as that mentality is, when you see it over and over again, it starts to make sense. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's their self-fulfilling way of playing God with themselves. You know what I mean? So I just thought you'd be interested with that,
Yeah, I am interested. And if you look at, and I'm a believer, and I'll just tell everyone this. One of the talk show hosts, a very learned man, Gary Bell, the spaceman. It's out of Toronto every Saturday night. I believe it's 6:40 a.m. Toronto. We're going to be putting up a link to his radio broadcast, but he talks about, in fact, I think the week before last, he was talking about, for example, Walt Disney and the occult that is involved or is involved in the Disney movies.
No, now, absolutely, yeah.
And when you really stop to think about what's going on today and things like that, and how Hollywood, well, what's Hollywood? Really, what is Hollywood?
Sure.
It's a magical spell. So it's the entrancing of America. So, or of the world. So yeah, this is important to really learn and to understand how we are being brainwashed, controlled, and manipulated into a certain mindset. So very good. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Well, it's funny. I had mentioned this to Steve Quayle at one point. He put it up on his thing. My son was playing this video game, this Call of Duty. It's this new kind of, I guess, kind of warfare game, And right. I'm sitting there, and he's a young kid, so, he's 10 years old. And I was watching him. He's like, Dad, you want to play with me? And I was like, well, I'll watch you, whatever you're going to do, And every map that he played on was a destroyed U.S. city, a foreign city. It was a U.S. city, small town or major city. There was a town in Alaska. There was San Francisco. There was a baseball stadium. And throughout the game, while he's running around doing this warfare stuff, there's FEMA trucks everywhere. This is in the video game. And there's signs all over within the video game. I hope somebody researches this because I don't want them to think I'm nuts. So I'm watching him, and there's FEMA signs throughout these wasted these American cities and small towns, and the signs are telling people to line up, obey, don't run quickly, obey the people in, the law enforcement people. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, and he doesn't get it. He's a young kid, but I was like, I was so amazed. And Steve Quayle said that it was completely brainwashing, like this kind of, this kind of getting, this kind of subliminal kind of method of control, But it was absolutely, like for people, programming, exactly. That's right. So, listen, I don't want to take your time. I just thank you guys again. I thought you might get a kick out of that. So hopefully you can get another call in, and you guys be good.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. God bless. Great call.
Yeah, have a great night.
Predictive programming in video games, movies, it's there, folks. It really is. It's not your imagination. And in fact, we will do a program on this. Hopefully we can do it justice as well.
We have one more caller we're going to try to get to here. We have about 4 minutes left. 915 area code. We're coming to you now. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi, guys. It's the first time I called y'all. I've listened quite a bit, but that woman that was on before that has physical illness?
Yes. Yeah, Donna. Yes.
Are you guys familiar with a homeopath named Robert Scott Bell?
Robert Scott Bell? No.
Yeah. He's very reputable. He could probably help her. You're not hopeless or helpless until the day you go meet the Lord. Your body's in the grave. Okay? I got into studying homeopathy and natural healing a long time ago because I got kind of really bad sick and wasn't going to let the doctors cut me up like I'm a butchered cow.
Yeah.
But, on another note, I hear people, when they talk about not being able to afford to eat, I help or teach people how to grow their own food in the most confined spaces. Are you familiar with vertical gardening?
Yes. Yes. That
Okay.
I am familiar with, yes.
Good deal. Okay, you know about something. There you go. See? No, joke. I used to do a show on Blog Talk Radio a while back. I couldn't do it anymore. Truck driving and doing a late night show, burning candle with both ends, kind of rough. But it's I hear these people and their stories that heartens me. I mean, it gets sad. It's like, come on, you don't have to go hungry. And sorry about the background noise. I'm driving down the road right now. But they can grow gobs and gobs of food they're not even aware of. And go online and look up vertical gardening, how to grow potatoes in a column, a fence-like structure filled with dirt and straw. I mean, I've shown people how to grow like 40 pounds, 50 pounds potatoes in just one column, or a 5-gallon bucket full of carrots. Just endless things like that. They're like, wow, it works, dude. And the thing is if you grow your own food, you'll be getting better food than even the organic food in the grocery store. It's void of nutrients. It looks pretty, but, it doesn't have the nutrients that you grow your own food in, because the minerals aren't in their soil anymore.
Right.
But that lady that called, she gets with Robert Scott Bell, and you can Google his name and all that. You chelate the poisons out of your body at the start, okay? And then you nutrify your body. And your body is built to heal itself, okay? But you have to get the toxins out for it to happen, or at least most of it. God made our body, and it's a miraculous thing when you think about it. Every cell in our body can be replaced with a healthy cell. And I just...
Okay. We're going to look up...
you're short on time, I know.
And I'm sure she's listening, and I know you're driving, so hopefully it's a hands-free device.
I'll get out probably too. Yes, I use a headset. I do not hold the phone to my head.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, the earthquake thing, man, don't worry about the earthquake thing. I studied geology in college many, many moons ago. And granted, yes, the New Madrid fault is a bad mamma jammer, so to speak, because of it being so deep. But no lake is going to empty out into the middle of the country and all this other stuff people cry about all the time. And maybe another time I'll call back and talk to y'all when it's quiet. But
interesting.
There will be earthquakes. Mountains will grow, okay? As Book of Revelation tells us, the end times aren't going to be a pretty picture. But
not at all.
For now, no one knows the hour, time, or day. So God bless y'all. Keep the faith. Be strong, my friend.
All right, brother.
God bless you too.
Talk to you some other day.
All right, man. Thanks.
Bye,
thanks for the call. That'll do it for us tonight, the 11th day of June 2014. You've invested 3 hours in listening to us. We want to say thank you so much. Tomorrow, Pastor John Kyle, a very special program, getting into some very interesting nuances of different demonic things, which I didn't really know about it until I talked to him. And it's really
going to be a great show. Pastor John Kyle tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. God bless. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Good night.